Hey y'all, welcome to the T-Work podcast, hosted by Grant Banko and me, Adam Moreau. From entrepreneurs and athletes to the rat racers of corporate America and those who refuse to be put in a box, we want to share their stories and understand how they ended up where they are. Success and development come in many shapes and sizes. We want to hear about it all. So grab a drink and pull up a seat. Let's spill some tea and get to
Welcome back to the T-Work podcast. Today we have Bracha Goetz joining us today, who's Harvard educated, started out on the medical side of things and then pivoted to publishing children's books and is really pursuing just helping people in their lives have happier lives. I don't want to butcher any more of her background though, so I'll pass it off to you, Bracha. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, great job. That was terrific. Yeah. I right now I'm the author of 43 children's books, and they're kind of unusual because they're kind of spiritual books. Like they help children's souls to shine from the beginning of life. I love to help children gain happiness skills early in life so they don't have to play catch up later on. I write the books I wished I had as a child, basically. Yeah.
That's quite the mission. I love where you're approaching this from. And I don't know how deep we want to go so early. Second question or first question of the day, but maybe what what inspired you to kind of shine the light or try to provide a guiding light in a sense, tapping
Yeah,
into this happiness theme.
yes, very good. I am like the deepest person. So get ready. No, really, I really am. So like it began at like age 12, when I started adolescence and everything. All of a sudden it was like a consciousness thing, like, what is the purpose to life? Nothing too deep, just what is the purpose to life? Like right away. I went searching for this for 10 years, basically. I was trying all different religions on, like social action, experimenting with all kinds of things, relationships, everything. I just like was really into experimenting. And luckily, by the time I got to high school, I started studying. I started like doing well in high school. And I started like, I want to learn about everything and I want all the wisdom to life. So I did really well in school, and like I ended up, getting into all these like elite schools, which my parents didn't know where I was coming from. I was like a little bit weird. Like they didn't even understand why I was like always searching for like the purpose of like my sister would say, who cares, I don't know, like this was like my drive. So that's what happened. And I went to Harvard searching for like, I figured maybe I'll find the greatest wisdom at Harvard. It's like the top school. So that was my motivation for going there. Um, and um, and also I wanted to be a psychiatrist because I was like fascinated by the mind-body connection. So I was pre-med, and I was a psychology major at Harvard, and I did really well there, but while I was there, I was kind of getting sicker and sicker. Um, I was studying eating disorders while I was getting sicker and sicker with eating disorders myself. So I really even did like groundbreaking research at that time. Um, and it's published in like this textbook that's still used in like a lot of women's studies courses. Why do women looking at biology, looking at women. And so it's interesting, but by the time I got to medical school, I was really in the worst shape of all with all these food addictions, which nobody knew I was suffering from. Because like when you have an addiction, the main thing is you keep it secret. And you work really hard to keep it secret so nobody knows how you're suffering. And I looked like a success on the outside, and inside, I was getting more and more miserable. So that's, Yeah, that's the beginning part of, I forgot even what the question was, but how I began on this journey. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So don't worry, it was totally tied into the question. The question is what kind of inspired this journey to spread the joy or show the light for happiness in young children? And
Yeah.
some of it sounds like you just had a quest for meaning in a sense in your own life. You were looking for what was going to bring you joy. And it sounds like you got really deep in trying to discover why people think the way they think or behave the way they behave. Is that
Yes.
a fair assessment?
Yeah, it's true. And what I finally discovered when I finally got the spiritual fulfillment that I was searching for is that there's an empty there's an emptiness inside of everybody. And we try desperately to fill it with external things, but it's a spiritual hole. And the only thing that fills it is gratitude. That is what brings lasting pleasure in life. So, so I began, so what happened is after my first year of medical school, I had a 6 week break and I went to Israel that summer when I started learning about my roots and my heritage and all this spiritual stuff, which I never knew because I was like culturally Jewish, but I didn't know like the deep stuff. So I started learning all these things and I decided I'm not going back to medical school. It was a huge pivot. I really immersed myself, and it wasn't a hard decision. That's the crazy part. I felt like I really found what could bring me deep joy now, and I'm not leaving. So I stayed. First, I was going to like transfer to Tel Aviv Medical School, but I decided no, I'm just going to stay here and learn. And so uh, after a few months of studying, I met my husband, and he was on a same spiritual path, very similar to me. He'd also finished college, he was working, and he was searching. So we met each other. We got married after a few months, and we began raising our family in Israel. And we lived here a few years. Then we went back to America um, when my parents weren't well, and we ended up living back in the States for quite a long time. And now our children are grown, and my husband and I have returned to Israel where we first met. And yeah, so that's and oh, and when I started to have my little children, when they were really young, I started writing these children's books. I wrote my first book on like a piece of loose leaf paper, and I mailed it to America. And 6 weeks later, I got an acceptance, and I was like, wow, I can write children's books. I had no idea. So I just kept going. And I had like 40 books published with like different publishers. And then with my 40, I guess I had 39 books. And then with my 40th book, my youngest children said, we want to become publishers now. So stop sending your book to the publishers. And now they are my publishing company. They're doing that. And yeah.
That's right. Keep it in house.
Yeah.
The family affair now.
Yeah.
I mean, to not be selfish, but you can shout out the name of the publishing company if you'd like, for your kids
Uh,
and yourself as well.
okay, sure. No, it's Growing Impact Publications. It used to be the Getz Bookshop, but like with the Growing Impact, with with books that have like universal messages for everybody, they changed the name, and that's what we're doing. We're seeing the impact that the books are having, because besides wanting my own life to be joyful, I was always like a really idealistic person, and I wanted to know how to make the world a more joyful place. So that's what the books are accomplishing. And that's what I love doing now. I give presentations all over and just keep writing the books. And yeah, so this is what we do. Yeah.
it's a very audacious goal and very broad goal to make the world a happier place and people to find joy. Like it's very difficult just knowing the world. Um, how do you focus on? I feel like there's got to be certain areas that you focus on in these presentations in these books.
Yeah,
How do you figure that out, and how do you choose which route to go?
great question. You know what? I just read this today. This is so great. I have never said this before, but it's fantastic. Research has come up with that we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and 75% of those thoughts are negative. And 95% of these negative thoughts are repetitive. We just keep thinking the same negative stuff over and over again so much of our days. This is universal. This is in general, but that's how it is. And so it's widespread. And as we know, addictions are widespread, anxiety, depression, all these things seem to be much more widespread than ever before. So the answer is really very simple. It's like, oh, so the one book I wrote for adults is Nourish the Soul, Filling the Emptiness Within. And I didn't really write the book. It's it's a compilation of my diary entries, and then it became a journal when I got older, and letters that I wrote home, and then I filled in the missing pieces. And and this book, when I put it together, that's when I saw the thread. That's when I understood why, when I finally found fulfillment in life, did I no longer need the addictions. And that's what I'm loving to spread, that the basis for these addictions is really spiritual emptiness. And the way to fill ourselves up is to practice gratitude more and more. And we have neuroplasticity. We can change our brains. And the more we practice gratitude, the more we develop brains that are filled with gratitude. The neural pathways just kind of take over. The neurons fire together, they wire together, and we get more and more neural pathways so that it becomes easier and easier to live a grateful life.
So just for it's kind of a selfish question, you're saying practice gratitude. What is the best approach in your eyes to sort of do that? Because you hear, oh, just think of three things you're grateful for, or write it down, or type it out. What is actually moving the needle?
And that works because we know that when they've done those studies, they've studied people 6 months after, God forbid, they become paralyzed in an accident, and people 6 months after they've won $1 million in a lottery. 6 months later, they're at the same level of happiness they were at before. But those people that do what you were saying, like for 6 weeks, for instance, they keep a gratitude journal and they write down like three things before they go to bed or when they wake up, three things they're grateful for. They actually see a change in their happiness set point. They become happier people. So it's not what happens to you. It's how you process it. It's how you reflect on it. It's how you respond to things. So it's very empowering that we have the potential to live happy lives based on how we choose to view life, really. Um, it's there's a saying that I love. What's the difference between a happy life and a miserable life? It's how grateful you are. That's really it. So what I have is like what I learned that summer. It's called the pleasure ladder. And this is what has affected my life so much. But I, on my website, you can actually download it with all the Like with the basic information that I could tell you about, it's not, this is just like the plain thing, but you can download a free chart. I encourage people to like put it on their fridge or their cabinets if they have a problem with overeating or something like that. Put it someplace prominent where you can remind yourself that you have an abundance of ways to bring gratitude into your life at any moment. That's really what it shows you. So, um, you want me to should I explain now about the 5 levels of pleasure?
Go
Yeah.
ahead,
Okay,
get
great.
into it. Well, also, Bracha, feel free to tell people your website as well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's Growing Impact Publications. That's my children's website. They're the business people. I'm so not a business person, and they take all my idealism and they've made this whole thing. So that's the website, Growing Impact Publications, where you can download this. So there's 5 levels. It corresponds to these things, 5 fingers, right? It's right in front of us. We have it in our hands, the potential to bring joy, lasting joy into our lives at any minute. It's right here. So these 5 levels, they also correspond to the 5 levels of the human soul, which is universal. And the lowest level of the soul is the part that's attached to the body. So this level of the soul is activated by all the natural physical pleasures in this world. I'm just going to name some of them, like eating a natural, like eating healthy food, like spending time in nature, music, all kinds of exercise, whatever you love to do, sports and yoga, dancing, swimming, whatever. These things, they naturally bring you joy. And when you experience them with gratitude, then it also nourishes your soul. That's what changes everything. When you add gratitude to these pleasures, like I love giving the example of the orange. Because here's this simple orange, and all the fruit are green when they are not ready for us. They're camouflaged in with the leaves, so they're protected until they're ready for us. Then they become the most vivid color, so it's beautiful to look at. It smells beautiful. All our senses are activated, and then you peel off this amazing wrapper. It keeps the sweet juiciness in for months. And then you experience that sweet juiciness. And guess what you're left with at the end? You're left with these seeds. These are like, these are seeds of eternity. They become endless trees. They could become endless trees, endless more oranges, all from this one thing. This is like, could you imagine like all the gratitude you could have just from one orange? So like from all the different gifts that you have in your life right now, the gratitude is endless. So we have the opportunity to experience that, to experience tremendous joy from all the natural physical pleasures in our lives, by experiencing them with gratitude. So that's just the lowest level of pleasure.
Yeah, that's level one. We got that much out of level one.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. It's just awesomeness. So then you go, the next level up is surprising. It's love. Now, love does not seem like empowering. It seems like it's dependent on somebody else. So this in the mystical, ancient mystical definition of love, it's what you value about someone else. It's what you appreciate about someone else that you can bring into your life at any moment without being with the person that you love. You you can, like, even if you're in solitary confinement, God forbid, in prison, you can bring love into your life. Like focusing on a grandmother that once did a kindness for you, and you feel this warm emotional feeling and you feel inspired to be better, you can always bring love into your life. So, like, why do people have addictions? Because they feel cut off, alienated, lonely, separate, no one cares. This is how you, this is about bringing connection into your life. And each level up brings a more lasting pleasure and more connection. So here you're being grateful for like a physical thing in the world. Now you're being grateful for another being. It could even be your dog, right? So what you appreciate about another being. And then the next level up, the middle level, is doing something good and meaningful, like you are doing this podcast to help people. It's like a good and meaningful feeling. You're helping people live more fulfilling lives. So I was on another show, and when I got to this level, the guy said the host said he was feeling really lonely and miserable, and he had two slices of pizza, and he was about to plow through the whole rest of the box by himself and just finish it off. And there was a knock at his door. His neighbor, he needs his help for like 2 minutes to move some furniture, whatever. He comes back in and he doesn't need the pizza anymore. Like, what changed in those 2 minutes?
I gotta know what show you were that you were on that this happened for. But that's crazy. No, I mean the connection brought him the satisfaction. He didn't need to find it elsewhere. But yes, I need to know what show this was where this guy's just like, "Oh, I just need this pizza. Wait, let me help my buddy move."
Yeah, he didn't think about it. You know what I mean? It just happened. You know what I mean? Like otherwise he would have for sure finished the whole pizza, you know? But but it wasn't meant to be. And this guy, he's like, he finally, like you said, he connected. He didn't feel cut off anymore. He felt grateful that he could give to somebody else. Gratitude came into his life. He felt like I'm needed, you know? I'm not all alone in the world. It changes everything, right? So the level above that, you must feel this too in your work, I'm sure. This is also surprising, but it's creativity. When you are being creative, you go into like a flow zone when you don't feel like eating or sleeping. And it's like kind of beyond time. You're in this creative place. So it's such a great high. And when you experience that with gratitude, oh my gosh, then like it takes the ego out of it. And you don't worry about failing or flopping. You're just like you're in the flow. You're just like channeling this amazing energy in the world. That's what the creativity is when you experience it with gratitude. So the highest level of all is called transcendence. It's really just recognizing that we are all connected. We like we have these veils of separation between us, but we all are flowing with the same source energy amongst all of us. And the vegetation is giving us its, you know, what the oxygen we need, we give it we just like flow. We all are flowing and helping each other. We're all connected. It's like a mirage. It's an illusion that we're really separate because we're all really like one soul, actually. So this is what, and that's the ultimate like gratitude. Like if you've ever experienced, everyone, like whenever you're under a starry sky at night in the country and you feel that oneness with the whole universe that you're part of, that feeling never goes away. It's a lasting pleasure in life. So these are really the ways to to live a more joyful life, and they're always available because gratitude is always available to us. It's really a way to train the brain to see positive patterns in life.
That's awesome. I love how passionate you are about all of this. It really is inspiring. It's fun to listen to. As I'm sure you could tell, Grant and I are smiling through this entire thing. We're excited about it. But I want to step this back just a tad. So from this journey that we just went on with the ladder with you, I want to connect this now back to your writing, which, to remind the audience, is specifically for children for the most part. So I would love to know maybe a couple of examples from a different book or two where you have
Yeah,
tied these specific themes into your writing and make it palatable for children.
terrific. The newest book is The Mother Who Always Said Yes. Okay. So this book, um, it was a year and a half ago. And one of my granddaughters, I was hanging out with my granddaughter, and she said to me, oh, she was asking her mother for some candy, and her mother said no. And she turns to me and she goes, when I'm a mother, I'm going to always say yes. And I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Could you imagine that? So I wrote the book of her fantasy coming to life, what that would be like. A mother who always says yes. And it's a really wild book. It's like, well, you could see on the cover. I mean, the children are like just buying whatever they want. Yeah, you could do whatever you want. I mean, it's like, it's you just watch it happen. I'm gonna, I mean, I'll give you an example from the book.
Yeah,
Wait,
let's get the excerpt. I love it.
I'll let them, I'll let them stay up super duper late. Wow, they'll love it. It will be great. They'll never go to bed. They will party a ton. Day after day, they'll just keep having fun. Nobody will tell them that it's time to stop. And whenever they want, they can also shop. They can buy anything that they want in a store. And whatever they like, they can always buy more. They can pick everything. I won't care at all. Why should I stop them? Let them have a ball. They can fill up their rooms with all kinds of stuff and keep bringing home more. It's never enough. If their rooms get too crowded, they can fill up more space and leave their things all over the place. No matter what things cost and no matter the mess, they can just keep going. I'll always say yes. Even pets, really big, really small. Children, yes, you can have them all. And they can, of course, eat candy all day. I would never, ever put it away. I'll leave it right out so they can always eat every kind of sugary treat. No meals, just snacking all day and night. Oh, won't they love that? Every single bite. They can do what they want. They can play in the dirt. They can fight with each other and even get hurt. But I won't say no. They can be free. Whatever they want, I will agree. Have some more, for sure. Take these. And they won't even have to say thank you or please. Will they have to come in? Will they have to come in to do any chores? Of course not. They can stay all night outdoors. Why bother them with homework or even with school? In my house, there won't be even one rule. How lucky will my children feel? Let me guess. They will always be happy, right? Yes? Well, that's the whole book. And the whole book is about the illustrations because you see how things are really going. And there's no preaching, and every child that reads this book gets the message. And they totally get that we need rules, we need boundaries. Oh, wow. It's really not great if nobody ever says no. They totally get it just from reading this book because the pictures are telling a really different story than the words. So it's a very unusual psychological book. There's one example.
I'm interested the first time your granddaughter that you got the inspiration to write the book, what her feedback and how she reacted to reading it.
Great question. She is so excited. She goes around telling everybody, "This is my book. I wrote this book." She is like so excited. It's the funniest thing. I love it. But I get a lot of feedback from this book. It sold out immediately when it was published. So it's now been reprinted already. It just came out in December, and now it's finishing the second printing, and it's doing like unbelievable. Everyone's buying it in all the stores and online because it's just having an amazing effect. So it's really, really going great. That's one example. But see, and that's a book where I'm talking about gratitude, but I'm not coming right out and talking about it, but the message is in there. Like another book, this book I wrote, Let's Stay Healthy. I wrote this during the pandemic because parents were asking me for books that explain to children. They said, our kids are staying home, they're eating junk all day, they're not going to bed, they're not exercising, and they really need to know why it's important to be healthy. So, like, even when I was at Harvard, I was taking courses at Harvard Medical School and at the Graduate School of Public Health because I love public health. So I explain in this book in a really simple way why it's great to be healthy and why it's great to do all kinds of healthy things. Like if you go to bed and you get enough sleep, like experiment and you'll see how great you feel in the morning and you have energy and you don't feel grumpy and tired like you do when you don't get enough. And even like teenagers will tell me they pick up the book and they get the message. Wow, no one ever explained it before, like why it really makes sense. And I explain to them like when we eat unhealthy things, it actually takes like the good stuff out of our bones. It draws out because it's not stuff that's made for us. It's really food-like substances, junk food. It's not like the orange that was made with like infinite love and infinite loving kindness. No, this junk is just made for you to keep buying it. It's not made with our bodies in mind to be healthy for us. So I explain all kinds of things to children and how our bodies are meant to move and how joyful it feels to move. And I even explain about like brushing your teeth and flossing your teeth because what child likes to floss their teeth? I never wanted to do that as a kid, but I explained that you could just do it while you're doing something else, and it really makes a difference and it feels great. And washing with soap, that's another thing I never wanted to do as a child. So I explain like it's all invisible. You can't see the germs. I explain like these basic things to children. And also, like two of my most popular books are actually about the prevention of abuse. And believe it or not, those are two of my most popular books because children love guidelines. It makes them feel safer in the world to know these kind of guidelines and guidelines about prevention of abuse. I have books about let's swim safely because again, really little children, they need to learn basic guidelines. This is a board book for toddlers, the swimming book, so that they totally memorize the rules around swimming safely. And because toddlers have it's really the highest death rates for the youngest children near water. So I'm very into preventative medicine, which I do because part of having a soul that can shine fully, a really important part is having a healthy body as well. It's like a prerequisite. You need a healthy body for your soul to be able to really shine in this world as well.
One thing I'm picking up on here, and I'm assuming part of your mission, one of the reoccurring themes is empowerment. It seems like you are
Right,
giving children their own autonomy in a sense to make a decision or
right.
assess for themselves what's good and what's bad and giving them practice with that at an early age. Even like it was so fun to hear you read through saying yes, but in the end, yeah, that makes sense. A child can internalize that question and say, "Ooh, is this always good?"
Yeah.
And they like it's crazy to think that like I don't know, that's probably the way my mind worked as a child. I mean, Banko here lived with me for long enough to know that I'm willing to question just about everything on the planet. So just maybe giving children the thought experiment and letting them recognize, or as you said, the safety guidelines. So then they understand why things are in place, and maybe they can question what doesn't make sense to them. And to me, it encourages a more inquisitive society.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what you're doing too. I love that. Getting people to question, did you have to just go on this one path, or are there many paths to go on? Exactly. There's like infinite possibilities in life. And when you recognize that, it's such a freeing feeling. Now, I joke around about this, but I identify as a 6-year-old boy, you know? So like in my books, that's usually the main character is a 6-year-old boy. And like you said, it's not a grown-up telling you what to do. It's this 6-year-old child telling his peers what he's learned. And that's empowering. Exactly. And that's my mind still goes like that because I, it's just natural for me to have a sense of curiosity and wonder still in life. That's just who I am. So, one more book, I'm going to tell you about this book. I want to tell you, this is one of my favorite books that I wrote. It's called Don't Read This Book. And this book took me the longest. It took me like 30 years to write this book because I had the title, I had most of the book written, but something was wrong with it and I couldn't finish the book. And it wasn't until really recently that I had the surprise ending to the book. And then it was finally ready. And it was happier. It changed the whole tone of the book. So this book, it's called Don't Read This Book because it's written in the voice of that head, the voice in everybody's head that is trying all day long to get you to be miserable. There is a voice in everybody's head that's telling them to focus from morning till night on what they're missing, what they're lacking in life. It's that negative voice that I just learned 75% of your thinking at least. It's all day long when you start feeling good about you. Oh yeah, but you don't have this or you don't have that. Everybody's got it and everyone thinks they're the only person with this nagging voice inside their head. So this is teaching children to be aware that it's totally normal and to empower yourself over that voice. First step is recognize that it's talking. Recognize there's a voice in there trying to get you to be miserable. Because once you notice that, it loses its power like the Wicked Witch of the West. It like melts away as soon as you recognize that it's there working on you. So the surprising thing that I learned, I didn't have the life wisdom to end the book, is that voice, it's also a gift for you. It's like a personal trainer. It's really not like a mean voice. It really doesn't want you to listen to it. And at the end of the book, you realize that the voice really wanted you to read the book because, and it knew you would if it said don't read the book, but it it's there to trick you and you can outsmart it. You can out trick it because it's like this. Oh, it's like this barbell. Like you, you grow your gratitude muscles by pushing it off. You push it off. It's trying to get you, weigh you down and make you miserable. And you go, oh, it's you. Push. And that's how you grow your gratitude muscles every time you become aware of it. So this is giving the youngest children these tools to learn this early in life. I can't even imagine what my life would have been like if I knew this really young. So that's that's the idea.
I do hope that some of our listeners actually do watch the video portion of this because the amount of visualizations you came with prepared is awesome. Um,
That's that's what I was gonna say, dude. I wanted to call a quick timeout and just talk about the level of preparedness for this episode and all of the props that are along with it. I no wonder you write for children. I feel my inner 5-year-old like this is the best thing ever.
Oh,
What's coming next?
oh, I'm so happy. Thank you.
yeah, you're definitely keeping us engaged. I do want to take it back. You mentioned uh, like toddlers, 6-year-olds, teenagers get the message from your book. When you first started on this journey of writing children's books, portraying these messages, there is a saying that majority, and this is America specific, that the reading level isn't as high as people think, and a lot of very smart, intelligent people write great things, but they're at too high of a level where majority of the population doesn't get engaged with it, doesn't take it in. Was there a portion of your thought process of writing children's books so you could impact the biggest part of the population, where it could be any age level from 3 years old to 100 years old? Was that ever part of your thought process?
Yes, well, you got it right. Most people don't realize that. Most people don't realize it's a secret that the only books that reach every single age level are the picture books for young children because somebody's reading these picture books to the children. They're not reading it yet, you know? So you have adults reading it to them, or you have even grandparents reading it to them, elderly people, regular adults, little children, and then teenagers. Teenagers pick up the books when no one's looking and they read them too. So every single age level reads picture books. It's if you want to get a message out into the world, it is the best way. But I really didn't realize that in the beginning. I wrote children's books because I like to write in the most simple way possible. Here, I went to Harvard, but I was never that kind of person. And if I didn't tell you I went to Harvard, you would never think I did because I don't come off as being like really intellectual, you know? And but it's like I love the simplicity. I love extracting like distilling things down to the simplest core possible and explaining that to people. That's what I love to do. And so children's books is the perfect way for me to do it. And I'm telling you, even when I was studying at Harvard, I never read the big books. I don't like all these big books, too many words. And I would just read the beginning and the end and someplace in the middle. And then I'd write my papers based on that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm anyway a slow reader. And who's got time to read all this stuff? It's like, so picture books have always been my favorite books, and they still are. Yeah.
I got a little excited there because we were on a previous episode and I mentioned that I was more on the Cliff Notes side of things than reading the full books in school
Me
to get
too.
the high level. So that is good to hear that you are the same approach. I would, I do wonder, it's sometimes more difficult to take very in-depth concepts, especially on this side of things, and to distill it down so you can simplify it. Did you struggle with that initially when you were writing the children's books?
Now that's the gift that I was given. Thank God. That is what I love to do. It gives me so much joy to do it. Everybody's got their thing in life, and that's what comes naturally to me. I, I'm not a small talk person, as you could tell. I just get right to the crux of things. That's what I do. Like I always said, I feel bad for people that are sitting next to me at a party. Like I don't know how to talk. Like I just get into the deepest conversations, you know? So, so that's what I do. And I'm not good at small talk, but I'm good at like deep talk. So I love talking about things that are hard to explain to children and making it really clear and simple. Yeah.
I think you might be, well, for me, I don't know about everybody, but you might be the perfect seat partner on a transatlantic flight because you could probably talk through the whole thing with no lull. That would get me through it. I can't sit still for that long, so I need someone with your brain and your gift of gab to just keep things rolling. Because yeah, deep talk, I mean that's the great stuff. That's what keeps it rolling. So I just so you know, I feel you. I that's the
Oh,
wavelength that I need.
oh, thank you. Well, that must be why you made this podcast. It's so great. Podcasts are the most amazing things. You talk to people you would never meet. Here I am in Israel talking to you guys, where? In Florida and Georgia, right? I don't know. It's like amazing. And we could talk about the deepest things. This is like just awesomeness. Yeah.
I do have to ask the question. Is there a secret to how much energy and enthusiasm that you have, or have you were just born this way? Like
It's called
what is the
practicing
secret?
gratitude. Look it up, dude.
Now, here's the thing. I was like a happy child, but I really, really had some miserable years. I really did. It really was not pretty. Like when people read my memoir, they're like, "Why are you sharing this?" Like it's like really like degrading like things to be ashamed of, like I'm talking about. But I feel if I don't explain how painful life could get, then you can't appreciate how joyful it could be. It's it's just the way it is. So yeah, I wasn't always happy, but now I generally am. I really, of course, I always have challenges in life. We all do. That's why we're here. But it never brings me, I never running on empty again like I was then. It really felt like with everything, with all the potential I had in medical school, I really didn't even want to live. It got to a point where, and that's what an addiction is like. It takes over your life so that you really feel like you're in a prison where the walls keep getting narrower and narrower, and it takes up all your energy, all your brain power. It just takes it. It eats you up alive, really. So I definitely know what it's like to be miserable. Yeah.
It sounds like you also refuse to stop. And I mean that in the best way possible. You want to continue to learn and discover and experience. Are there certain things now, whether it's today or in the coming months, that you really plan to dive into or you hope to learn more about?
I don't know. I feel like I've had such an exciting life, you know? Also, when I got to Harvard, I met like all these people and like the children of really famous people. I got to know them, and it's like I felt like I got to reach the top of the mountain, so I don't have to live for that illusion anymore, like to think that fame or fortune or power is going to bring happiness in life. I got to see that's not the answer. And many people waste a lot of time going after those illusions when that's not the secret to happiness. So I'm really grateful that I got to learn that really relatively early in life. And again, I forgot what the question was. What was the question that you said? What was
Really, what are you excited to
Oh
potentially
yeah.
dive into or learn more about?
Oh yeah. I just love how life is going. And whatever happens, every day is like a new adventure. And I just want to keep doing what I'm doing because Mm, it helps my soul to shine when I help other souls to shine. So I'm really having a blast. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm interested to hear from your perspective of the cultural differences around America and Israel, living in both countries. You mentioned people always wanting more. Obviously, that varies between different religions, countries,
Yeah.
cultures, etc. So, what has been your experience living in both countries and how that has panned out?
The children here are satisfied with such a simpler life. Oh my goodness. Here in Israel, my grandchildren that are here versus all my grandchildren in America, it's not about buying and buying. They hang out with each other and they just play and they're barely doing anything and they're playing imagination games and they don't have lots and lots of stuff here. It's a much simpler life. And I don't know, I just think it's really beautiful to watch because the less you have up to a certain point, I mean, if you're not starving and and you have enough to eat and you have enough to live with, you don't need a lot to be happy. So that's how I see the children growing up here, and I think it's really beautiful. Yeah.
Do you do you think that is due to the longer history of Israel being around and them living a simpler life, or like what has caused that difference in America versus Israel, in your view?
And we don't have like all these choices it's not like these supermarkets with all these kind of choice. It's like very simple. You could buy this or that, And and so people are and they're more eating like the whole foods and stuff. It's just like you don't take things for granted here as much. That's what I feel. So you have more appreciation for things. And even just the precarious life that we live here, it gets us to be more grateful for every day that we're blessed with. Yeah.
Stepping back just a question or two, it sounds like I'm going to forget my specific researcher on this, so forgive me for not knowing the name, but it sounds like the basic hierarchy of needs are met.
Oh,
So
Maslow.
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
I wanted to say Pavlov, but I know
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
dog. That's the
Yes.
dog, Pavlov's
Yes.
dog. But yes,
Yeah.
Laszlo hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, and I think my guess is he based it on this because it's like, and he revised it. He revised it after he also had 5 levels, and he revised it later on to have the highest level. It was about self-actualization, and he revised it to be about transcendence, that it's bigger than just oneself. It's about connecting with with everything. I I really believe that he based it on this ancient mystical wisdom. So that's what I've come up with about that. Yeah.
What was your initial exposure to the latter? We've gone through it. Maybe what did your discovery process look like? Who led you to it? Or just please shed some light on that.
Yeah, there was this genius rabbi who took like the Bible, which my parents brought me up to kind of believe that it was like fairy tales, and I was like not into it. And he made it so relevant to life, to current life. And he really explained this in a way that, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Now I get why I never was filled up before. Why was I never satisfied? I'd like have a meal like what the food addiction I had, it was like it was never enough, and there would be like these horrible uncontrollable binges. It's like it's like you were saying, these books I write about empowerment because I did not feel like I was in control in life. Life felt completely out of control, like everything felt anarchy and scary in a haphazard world. What's the purpose to all this? When I finally learned that there's a good purpose to everything, that we are here for an ultimate goodness in life, and that each of us is ultimately good, that changed my entire perspective. Then I could begin to trust myself and to trust life. That's when the whole shift began. Because before that, I can't trust in life. I really don't know what this is all about. Then everything began to make sense. So that I don't know if that makes sense to you what I'm saying, but that's what changed it for me so that I was finally able to nourish my genuinely hungry soul. I believe all our souls are hungry for true nourishment, and that's to live a life of gratitude here. We were put in this amazing garden, but we got so lost from it. We got so lost and we don't appreciate all the simple joys in life, but we can come back. We can really come back to experiencing the awesomeness of life. Like when I was a child, there was color in the world. And then when I went through those years, it felt like everything turned gray. Nothing mattered anymore. My morals didn't matter how I lived. And then when this change took place, suddenly the colors came back to life. That's how it felt. And things started to have value again.
So it sounds like to me, and how I interpreted that is very much there was a self-discovery process and there was inner work that you were doing, but at the same time, certain people entered your life and helped you on that journey when you were ready to receive it. Is
Yes,
that a good way to interpret that?
beautiful. Absolutely. And I feel I feel it's a spiritual wisdom that everybody can gain from. This understanding that we take so much for granted in life. And the more we can slow down and begin to appreciate the many, many gifts we all have, like the pandemic, I feel it pushed us all forward spiritually, like in a global way, because overnight we suddenly couldn't get together with other people. We suddenly began to appreciate our health, that we could breathe. These were things we were just all taking for granted. And then overnight, oh my goodness, we started to appreciate these things as they were taken away from us suddenly. So I feel it's like it's a global spiritual movement forward to to come back to a place of gratitude.
Wow. This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed this. I wasn't so sure what all we were going to get into today, and I feel invigorated for the best Sunday of my life potentially.
Oh,
So hopefully I can change the world today. At risk of speaking for another couple of hours, because I feel like that's the path that this could go down. Bracha, I do want to thank you very much for your time. And as my last question here before we do let you go, I would really like to know what has been, when you look at your 43 books that you have written, what is the one that has meant the most to you? Not that you think is the most impactful, maybe the one
mm.
that brought you brought you your own greatest self-discovery or the greatest satisfaction upon completion and sending it to publication.
Okay, then that would be this one. It would be my memoir
Awesome.
because it pulled through writing it is how I began to see this whole thing that I'm sharing now with people in how filling up is what nourished my hungry soul, and that really every soul is hungry for to live a life of gratitude. So I think that yeah, that book changed my life the most. Yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. Thank you for that.
I will just reiterate the thank you for today and your enthusiasm in trying to help people. We really do appreciate this, and I think it's a good wake up call, even for myself, and sort of
Oh, thank you.
thinking about the simpler things and noticing the small things. I I would say my last question, which is kind of a comment question, if you were to leave the listeners with one last message today that you want to get out to the world, what would that be?
Well, any minute, any moment that you spend feeling grateful is a moment that you're not spending being miserable. So you don't have to worry about changing your whole life. Just be grateful for any moment of gratitude. That's how kind of we build like a necklace. We build a chain by those moments. Just keep adding those moments of gratitude, and you'll see they'll start taking up more and more of your life.
Perfect.
Yeah, that I don't have anything to add to that. Again, thank you, Bracha. We really do appreciate it. I want to also give you the chance to again mention your website, social medias, where people can find you, so that you can have the biggest reach possible.
Thank you so much. And I'm on all kinds of social media, really. Um, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. But, if you visit the website, that's the greatest thing. It makes my children really happy. So hope you'll visit and download the pleasure ladder. Yeah.
And that
And
was
and oh yeah, growing
growingimpactpublications.com.
imp. Yeah, that's it. Yes,
Cool.
thank you. Yeah.
You're
And
welcome.
I always tell people you don't have to buy the books. You the public libraries also have them, and you can order them from the public libraries, and this spreads the messages out into the world. Yeah.
Well, hopefully this isn't the last we hear from you, Bracha. If you publish something or have something coming down the line, please let us know. Because this is
Thank you.
your personality is infectious, and I
Oh,
would love a chance for us to play a very small part in you spreading your
oh,
message.
thank you so very much. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you a ton once again. I feel like we can't spread gratitude to you enough because you've inspired it in us to all ends. And to the listeners, thanks again for tuning in. If you guys want to get involved, listen to Banko's outro. You guys know what to do. Reach out. We'd love to help you tell your story. So, everyone, thank you. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, Grant here. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you could like, share, and subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you think you or someone you know has a good life story to tell, we are always open to guest suggestions. You can send those suggestions to our email, tworkpod@gmail.com. Thanks again for the support.